What's that, Sue?
I started the broadcast.
That eliminates that whole problem. And, because I think we want to be out here anyway. We don't want to diminish any of this.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what I was thinking for this, if we go that way with the long 80-footer, make this the start of our
Oh,
proposed
the boardwalk?
connection.
The
In
boardwalk.
other words, make it the width we want and the length we want for the ramp in the beginning, so that if in the future this is connected, we won't have to
You're right.
modify this.
Right.
So can I ask you,
Can we,
okay, let's start the meeting.
Just start the meeting and follow our process, please. Thanks. I know.
We'll get back to that, yeah.
We'll get back to it. Okay, call the meeting to order at 6:06.
You made a thing or not?
This is recording. Have you guys looked over the meeting notes from last time?
Yes.
And you see anything we need to change or, like I said, I just did the minutes right from the recording. Or anything you want to add?
I did do my homework, I do have some updates, which I talked to you about.
I think that the White's Island estimate in 2004 was for $400,000. I remember seeing it, it's kind of brutal, right? The cost, this was 2004,
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah,
To do the bridges?
to the bridges.
The bridges as they stand.
As they stood, as they used to stand.
My excuse.
Yeah, but because we were trying, yeah.
Do you think if they do that, they'll be able to, they'll be strong enough to like to support a golf cart, wouldn't they?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, I think you might, yeah, I think you, yes.
They talked about that at one point, didn't they?
Oh, I think these would be rugged bridges for sure. I don't know if there's, I think you've got another plan in the works possibly, but, for White's Island, but, oh, yeah, they would be rugged bridges. Yeah, yeah. Golf cart, absolutely.
Well, if you're gonna do something out there, it'd be nice to be able to not just physically hand lug it all up there. You know, use a golf cart and a trailer or anything.
I hear what you're saying.
Right,
Yeah.
and what people want to do events.
I hear what you're saying. I hear,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
It's showing, did we talk about that? Doing a bake out there? If they.
You and I, yeah, you and I talked about it.
Right,
I don't think
okay.
we talked about it in the meeting.
Yeah. I did one out there one time, a long time ago,
Oh,
you know, a long time ago. You know, we did one, I don't even know how that happened, it was like, I almost think Matt Reed had something to do with it.
oh.
And I don't know whether Sam or some.
So how did you get stuff out, just on the across the bridges or
Well,
on
then.
the water? Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
Well, and also, I was younger,
Yes.
a lot younger.
We were all a lot younger. Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful thing.
Guys see any more adjustments, changes, want to take anything out?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay. You want to second it, Frank? All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Public comment? Moving on. Okay, let's see. Discuss the ongoing process for the waterfront development and slips. Marilyn, you want to start?
So just because I sit by a computer, I saw Will Gartley's email a little bit earlier this afternoon, and so I printed off only one copy because I didn't realize where everyone would be. So he's passed this around. So he's prepared for you a proposal for surveying, engineering, and permitting for new floats. And so it's a really modest amount of money. So I would take a look at that. Sorry, I would have brought more copies if I realized I was the only one sitting by a computer. So that's like for a total of $6,800. And I guess I just had a couple questions. Whether
Wow.
it's for a number of floats, you know. So I think we talked before about, forgive me, 12 floats and then maybe going up to 25, or how many floats are you proposing for your phase 1 or phase 2 or?
That's what the study will show.
Oh, okay,
What's the optimum number?
Okay,
Cost benefit ratio. In other
okay,
words, you put in so many floats, you get a certain amount of revenue from that. That's what his study is going to tell us, because offhand, we're just guessing.
so his, based on your sketch there, he's gonna lay out this alternate, this phase and then maybe that phase, and here's what he would recommend.
Yes, what I would like from him is,
Maybe for you to put around this?
is okay, we're going out, we've got existing floats here. We'll pull the dolphins and we'll go out here. And then we'll go off with slips like that. And he may say 10 or 15,
Mm-hmm.
and then we may do more with electricity and water, or we may do 30 to begin. He's gonna give us these options,
Okay,
and then I would expect the selectmen to select an option, or pick an option,
oh,
or
okay.
which way to go.
So when you say electricity and water, you're gonna try to bring those utilities down to the floats,
As,
which I think is,
I think as an option,
yep,
perhaps the first study would be very basic, minimal cost, maybe 10 or 15 slips.
okay,
No water, no electricity,
okay.
okay? Then, another option would be maybe 25 slips, water and electricity for probably 2 or 3 times the price.
Mhm.
Because running water and electricity is expensive,
Mhm.
but it may be important. The importance of that is what I expect Gartley to tell us.
I think
That
it-
if we build slips out there, you really gotta have water and electricity.
So I
But I don't
hope
know that at this point.
I would
Especially
hope
electricity.
he be
Water too.
as forward thinking as possible, so he gives you 1, 2, or more options, so that you can make some.
So that the selectmen can decide, this is the way they
Yeah,
wanna
yeah.
go. Because that's what we told them we would do from the beginning.
Okay.
So do studies usually include like advice like that?
They're gonna be recommendations
There
based
will
on
be
their.
recommendations?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't
He's gonna
recall that in
follow
our
permits and everything.
initial boardwalk study.
That's
I
cheap.
Oh, I know.
It's a little
But
Just we
different.
wanna make
so
sure
that's
he's
why
doing
It's a little
everything you want him to do.
different
We're trying to turn that right.
Well, we told the selectmen that, we wanna get a study first.
You ha-
Based on that study, there's someone, selectmen, will select what they want to put down there. Then we'll go for funding for that, and then that'll be
I see,
constructed.
okay.
Yeah, you do need some engineers involved and even getting to this next
Well,
phase.
you know, Godly may come back and say, you know, from your location in Wiscasset versus South Bristol or Mississippi Harbor,
Yeah,
putting electricity in and water in is really not necessary.
okay.
You mean it's not gonna be
Or,
a problem?
or the opposite, he may say, yes, you have to have them if you're gonna put any slips on.
Okay.
That's what we expect, that's what I expected, God.
Is it recent?
Oh,
It seems more like a PR.
No, I would let these guys do their thing.
Okay.
You know, they've already heard from you about,
Yeah.
you know, the fact that, you know, you'd like to expand and you know you need to add more utilities or amenities, so let them do their recommendations, you know, truly. And then you can, you know, so I think that's super, they know their field. Like-
Yeah, see, we don't. We're in Wiscasset, we're different than, what did I say, they got down to, South Bristol, we got $1,000 a year per slip.
Mhm.
Well, we may not get that. We may only get 500, 600, or 800, or something like that.
But I think if they can set you in the right direction by saying, you know, here are the other areas, marinas in your area, here's why we think you have a, you know, ready,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
that's
but,
all we're
yeah,
looking for.
yeah.
I took some pictures.
The people who can afford that slip will pay for that slip,
Mm-hmm.
just for the convenience of walking down a dock,
Mhm.
not going to anything and getting on the boat. That means
When,
you.
when we were,
I think.
when Susan and I were at the selectmen's
Especially
meeting
come
discussing
down.
this, Jody was here. And I said,
Oh.
would you want to use the slip? I said, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Sure
sure
would.
absolutely.
Yeah, lobster. And what does it matter to us if he lobsters from the slip,
Who
or you
cares?
sail from the slip?
Who cares?
I mean, isn't the whole process in the town
I mean,
to
he's
promote
got-
the fishing
He's
industry?
got 2 or 3 boats, so he may do 3.
Yeah, So,
Yeah.
I don't think we should be selective and say, oh, no, this is only for yachts, or this is for this.
Oh, no.
The only thing I'm
Make it
worried about
available
with the
to
fishermen
everybody.
is
Yeah.
Show me the
attracting
money.
birds.
You would have to keep it
That's the
clean
only-
and all that,
is
but
that
that is,
Which he does.
yeah.
What are you thinking that the slip's gonna be made of?
Well, you see this,
Wood,
see this dock material here?
Yeah,
These are floats with styrofoam billets in them.
yeah, the existing ones.
Yeah, and the same thing. The only difference is that what we're going to be doing is, this is what we've got now. What we want to do is probably go out like this,
And
then go out like that,
Right.
then put a slip here, and a slip here. So you can put a boat here, a boat here, boat here, boat here, and gain access to them here.
Yeah.
That's the way they are down in South
And,
Bristol.
and what are these made out of?
Same thing. These are just floats,
The wooden
just like
floats.
we've got out there now.
Yeah.
The only thing is, this might be 30 feet, this might only be 15 feet.
Right. You've seen the ones in Bath, I think we've talked about that before.
Yes.
Those, I don't know if they're fiberglass or what they are, they look like low maintenance, and they
Yeah.
connect together.
And
And
that's,
they're all in that parking lot.
Right.
that's down the road. When we
Over
go,
back, they just go right down. and they go
Is that to
together.
the right of the bridge, where Kennebec Tavern is?
Yes. No,
No.
to the left of the bridge.
Yeah,
No,
it's
it's
Down
down,
by Pittsburgh.
right.
Oh, like where the dog walk is?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
dog
there.
park in that area.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, I
Right.
stopped and
It's a
looked
great
at that.
boat.
And they all bolt together.
They all bolt together and they follow the tide, there's
Yeah.
no chafing, there's nothing.
Mhm.
And they go out and there's one big dolphin at the end and anchors it.
And it looks like a low maintenance thing.
Right.
But they might be brutally expensive. But they may not be.
Right?
but see, this is where I come up with a preliminary.
Sure.
Where
Yeah.
the paper, what's your idea? This is the idea.
Yeah.
Tidal flow is in this direction, and these are floats. But when we get to the construction phase of it,
Mhm.
what you're talking about may be the preferred way to go. But that's down the
Right.
road.
No, no.
Right.
Selecting the material
You need to get the
is
green
a
light.
long way, yeah.
Right.
We're in the conceptual stage of
Right,
this.
right. Yeah.
So, is there, so I like the idea of being able to have, get feedback on whether there's water, electricity, because you do want to, I hope, look at the opportunities to have more amenities down there, so you can become more attractive. So, are you looking for any other improvements to the harbor masters, to the bathrooms there, like showers, ice, anything else? I know that's small, that's kind of small.
Well, we've got all kinds of things that we're going to be doing as a waterfront committee.
Oh.
I don't need to answer for you.
That's okay, I'll chime in.
This is just one
Yep,
idea,
yep.
right?
Anything
I
else
think
going
Mary
on?
Ellen's looking at the
A
whole,
really big idea
I'm just curious.
was to connect the two piers
Oh,
together.
I know, you're right.
And the other idea was to run bathrooms on the
along the train.
Main Street pier.
Yep,
Yeah.
And what else? And White's Island, make access to White's Island. So those,
No,
and
those
also we talked,
big
David and I
projects.
talked about parking. Because I talked to the DEP about filling in all that land between the commercial pier
yeah.
and the rec pier. All that
Oh,
mud.
filling in that, okay.
And they said, that would be way down here on our approval list. I said, okay, what if we put pilings and a dock in and put concrete on it like we do our commercial pier? And he says, that would be up here on our approval because you're not taking up any of the mud space, you're not filling the whole area in.
Right.
And just looking for.
So we're like up on a
impact.
platform.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
And so,
okay.
so those are all the things,
Yep.
not all the things, but those are the things that we're talking about, or discussing or thinking
Okay.
about.
So,
But I like to do things one step at a time, and that's why we're doing this, and White's Island would be a separate
It would be. I
project.
was just looking at smaller amenities, nothing, these are all gonna be separate for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I was just curious about,
well, remember we thought at the harbor master building, we could put like actual showers in there?
Yes.
Because there's water and you could put in, so people would have access to real showers instead of your little boat shower.
so if this
Just
was
saying.
gonna get built in 3 to 5 years, let's just say, what other things did you wanna have there,
Right.
you know, so.
Right.
These are the most important things, right, the income, the revenue things, but
What do you think about the pump out thing? And just having I don't know how that would work with slips, how would people pump out and connect to this? Can they
Well, they
connect to
have to
sewer
come with it.
lines?
Well, no, they have to come to the dog.
Okay, but what about if you're
Oh,
docked there and you're hooked up to the water and the electric, don't you want to be hooked up to the sewer too?
No. I
No,
think,
okay.
I think you'd have to go at least a year or two with boats there to determine if there's a need for
Right.
pump hole.
Right.
I think we got to see a real serious need for pump hole before we went, because what you're saying is it's more trouble than it's worth. Unless
It
it's
was
done,
in the past, I
unless
can't-
it's done correctly,
Okay.
and if there's a need, then it will be done
Because
correctly.
we had it functional before, like 20 years ago, and it had nothing but oil and junk and all.
People just pump out anything.
They pump anything
Pump
out of the
the
bilge,
Mm-hmm.
change the oil, dump it in the bilge, and suck it right out into that tank, and then you had to have clean harvest come haul it off. It's just,
I can see him doing that too.
oh yeah, it was more hassle than it was worth. Because
So the
at that point, we didn't have anything to attract the boats from
right.
Townsend Gap up to us.
Mhm.
We had nothing up here. We didn't have a grocery store,
Mhm.
we didn't have fuel here, we didn't have
So
anything,
what's
slips,
the other things, fuel?
you know?
Mhm.
We need fuel, we need, amenities, we need
Yeah, those
grocery
are,
store, we need to have somebody that's available. If a boat comes in, they can call a certain number, they call a hot master and, I need a ride to shop.
so,
I
so,
need a
so
ride.
hopefully we'll get
Yeah, and-
services, then, so people can be
Right.
calling.
And
This is, we're talking,
if we upgrade our waterfront to the point there, we'll need an attendant.
Right,
But it should,
And all those things will be covered. The pump out will be monitored,
right.
and
That
tie-ups will be
that would be the
monitored.
difference right there.
who
And
has
that's
it?
what you gotta have for that pump out.
Right.
Oh, and it's, okay, somebody there, right. I wanted to, so I was looking through my files, which are public law, we have a lot of paperwork, and I did see something that, Paul Parks gave to me a number of years ago.
that's, Frank was around during Paul Parks.
Um,
Remember when he came and shared with us about putting in a marina down there and he talked to the
Yeah.
girl Pickering from Belfast and,
So this is just kept pretty private, it didn't really go far, I mean, he talked with me, and he might have talked to Ben at the time, so this is just cost estimates that he had developed on his own, so I don't.
He saw a much grander.
His drawing is, yes,
Yeah.
that's correct, that's,
And,
yeah.
and could work, I don't know.
Right, I just thought I would pull something out of my files to share with people, because it's,
I didn't see him,
I think he passed away,
oh,
Yeah, he did,
passed
yeah.
away.
cancer,
really?
Yeah.
I think just about a year ago.
Did you see that line? That's cheap money right there.
I know, it's almost like, we just write a check.
Well, you might, so if you want to, so my question is, so we've all just seen it, my question is, if you think of it and talk with him and say it covers all that you want it to cover, and it will lead you
And the
to
permitting.
apply for the next round of actual construction money, you might as well just get the allocation from the town to do it and not worry about a state grant.
For this,
Yeah, the $6,800.
Yeah.
Again, I was
they
thinking it would
don't
be
wanna
more.
spend a nickel.
The town doesn't.
So let's say that we make it, I don't want to say too much, but let's say we make it the $10,000 or something like that, and you put that application in the spring, and you get a match of $2,500. That's not, that's a, where you get $7,500 from the state, if you will, and $2,500 from the town, make that work. So it's more affordable than I thought it was gonna be, so.
Right.
But if you wanna look that over carefully and talk to Will, make sure it covers all,
It looked like it did.
the most important things, and then any other incidentals, and,
I
'cause
think you're right, I think we put that at 10,000.
I mean, what we request from the
Well, because
budget
he's got
state.
he's got some unknowns here.
reimbursement,
He's
whatever.
got reimbursable expenses, mileage, application fees, printing expenses, any requested out-of-scope services. All right, and we may say that, we'll say,
Yeah,
gee, have you thought about electricity and water? You say, no, well, let's include that.
that's why I think you want to
And so,
check.
yeah, we've gotta have some cushion on that, so you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And
something
10
like
grand
that.
would be the thing.
But then it's a modest match from this town, so,
So
Yeah.
that's
So I
what we
think-
were
so I
hoping
think-
for, right? So why don't
A
we go?
modest match.
And we've got
Well-
21,000 left over from last year's waterfront budget.
We do.
Well,
This says we're in a hole.
yeah. Well, yeah, it needs to be looked at. Anyway.
Balance forward, I just read it, didn't I?
but if
Well,
we,
that's, we're only halfway through the year. That has to last until June.
this tells me that we're already.
This is what Bernice told me,
Sure.
was, what was approved was the income for the budget. I'm looking at all departments, not the Hesper and the Providence ones. For a budget for the pier,
Right, count 133.
yep, and, well, no, they approved, what was approved at town meeting was 54,000. The income was estimated back then at 20,800, leaving a shortfall that they asked the taxpayers for of 34,000. So, and we are currently, we've only expended,
You've only expended,
12,761
uh,
year to date.
yes.
4,000 for equipment.
It's actually, I swear she said this plus this.
it's
'Cause I asked her, I said,
16,
is
you
this-
spent 16,000 and you brought in 3,300, so that's where you get the 12. So you brought in so much in revenue, right? You brought in 3,300, and then you're spending out 16,000. So you are technically in the hole, but it's gonna be taxed.
Well, and two, like she said, this started July 1st, and we're just gonna start getting, boat registrations and all that stuff
Yeah,
in
yeah, so you're
April
gonna
and
get,
May.
yeah.
So that's gonna, it's gonna increase.
But,
And she also told me that if there was a carry forward from last year, it goes into the general fund.
Who's she?
Bernice.
How can that, we've gone through this before.
Well, I asked her, I said, is that normal? And
No.
she said, yeah.
No, it's not.
Then, you know what, we don't, she's done.
Right.
Fridays, or today maybe was her last.
but maybe there's a process for it. I know in Westport, for example, of course, we're talking smaller dollars. If a committee wants to roll something over, we go to the selectmen and they go, we want to roll over $1,500, and they'll go, okay, so that goes into the warrant. So you're gonna carry forward $1,500 and get $500 more money. So there's usually an opportunity in town, as you're building your warrant article and your budget, to carry over X, X number of dollars. But I'm
Don't you
hoping,
have
I
to,
don't know whether
don't
that
you have
happens.
to have carry?
Well, there is
Because
a-
it looks like we run short. Looks like if we're asking the taxpayers for money, oh, I see, at the end of the year, it looks like at the end of this fiscal year.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky. Yeah, so you're saying you're gonna get a lot more revenue, but I
Yep.
think it's gonna, I'm not sure what the policy is in Wiscasset, but other communities do allow you to, based on your relationship with the select board and all that stuff.
So does that mean?
These figures down here are very confusing because the way I reached out, year to date, we've expended, we're at 12,000 in the hole, supposedly.
Yep.
But then we have a balance of 21,000. How can we be 12,000 in the hole? It's impossible.
Well, it may just be the way that
I think it's the way the program is,
Right. I mean,
because
it's
the
done on a
21
percentage.
plus 12 equals the 34, because I did
It's-
ask for that.
It's done on a percentage, I understand that,
Yeah.
per month, how much your budget, yours.
Oh, is
You're
that what they've done?
expending, yes.
Okay. But right now, you've only brought in 15.9% of your revenue, and you spent 29% of your expenses, so, you're still a ways away from being done.
Right,
with
but
it.
we're also halfway through the year.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that makes
in a way,
sense.
we're
Yeah.
On this, typically, when you deal with the town, they have multiple contractors and they select the lowest bidder.
Um,
But I think that's for construct.
You'd have to ask Wiscasset
Yes.
what they want to do. So I did,
This is the only guy that we've got that's come forward on this, even though we've contacted
We
about
went
5
through
different
this at
people.
the sewer treatment plant, and if a vendor is specific to a certain job, the selectmen have, and the town manager have approved to use just that vendor on our bid process. After going through the initial bid process, if only one comes back disqualified, they will use him.
Well,
so let's say, for
what
example.
nobody knows is that I've called 5 different people,
Yeah,
and this is the only one that we got that responded.
Right.
Is
So-
that good enough to say, okay, we'll go with him?
I would talk with John about that. I know what we would, we would do is to say, and we've done this with other companies like Wright Pierce, where they help you write the proposal, and then they know it's gonna go out to bid. but they've done the pro bono work, they've developed, but I think you would ask John so that if you can shortcut it,
Right.
but with a reputable
Because I
firm.
don't know where else to go with this,
Well, sometimes companies won't respond unless you have actually money to spend. So you're asking for some pro bono.
Asking for free estimates, basically.
Right. But most firms should do that for
That's
you.
all I'm asking for is that letter,
Yeah, but I would talk to John about the town's process
the
for
process.
yeah.
Or even get on the
Maybe
agenda.
you do that?
I would talk to him about it in his office there, so it doesn't get too squirrely.
Okay, good idea.
So who paid for that whole, fair thing in Westport?
In the whole parking lot? So we got a
I
land
mean, that's a
cost.
really nice setup there.
So we got two different kind of grants. One was a land for Maine's future thing, which allowed the town to buy the land, though I still think we had a debt, a loan on it. And then we got a land and water conservation grant, which is what we're recommending for the Bridges to Whites. So we got a construction grant to build out the parking lot and the jetty and all this other stuff.
Wow.
So we worked with maybe two different agencies there, and as you know, it ended up in court, so they were good enough to hold on to the money for Westport, but it was two different grants, one to buy the land, and the other to,
Is that home owned by Westport now?
yeah.
So there's no one in that home anymore?
Well, the woman was in there for quite a while, and so I'm on the history committee in town, just to go sideways all together. But we've been asked by the selectmen to see whether we could use that space, upstairs space, for some of our exhibit space and storage. And the basement of it is our food pantry. So I don't know if you've been in there, if you know Mike Cromo, but that thing is just gorgeous. I mean, it's a basement that's been painted and fixed up, and it's shelving, so it's for the Helping Hands food pantry. So it is town-owned, and the town's trying to figure out how best to use the building. So we'll see that. But it was rented for,
Right.
several years now. But Ann moved out in the last year or two, so we're having a volunteer group of people fixing it up, so, yeah.
There is.
Yeah, no, I think, Wiscasset can qualify for some of those grants that are available. Yeah, George would not be able to convince the voters to.
Nobody?
Well, he's he's very good at managing these opportunities for us, so.
Can you talk to David about the White Tower?
Sure, so have we gone as far as we can right at this minute with?
Yeah, I might email you some feedback on that, and you can.
Well, and
Yeah.
something hopped into my head about this as far as, not just saying, have you thought, but maybe we're overlooking something with him,
Oh,
that he would.
yeah, I think we are, because we're not talking about electricity and water. And, I would say, we'd ask him to say, give us your best opinion as to whether that's important enough to put in,
Okay.
and what would be the estimate for that.
Or
Or, not really the estimate, because what we're really looking for is what's appropriate to put in Wiscasset. The cost will be after the selectmen decide which one to go with, then that construction proposal will have those details of water and electricity and prices for all of that.
We'd like to get as much out of this effort by any engineering firm as you can. You almost want to get preliminary cost estimates.
Well, what I asked him to do is, I said, when you get done with your report, I'd like to be able to take that and hand it to a contractor and say, this is what we want. And he said, okay.
The final report, not this piece of paper.
Right, the final report, it will have the permitting, it will have all the cost estimates, it will have the details of construction, so that a contractor knows where to put the pilings, how many to put in, what floats to use, to put those in, and that kind of detail is what we've asked him to provide in his study.
And then the contractor would come back with a quote that we were.
And then we'll have multiple contractors.
A multiple, and then that's
Because
when
I
we
think
would
that's
start
where
applying for
Chuck
bigger
Fuller could come
information.
in, where Davis Allen could
Oh,
come
yeah,
in, where
yeah.
Croc Engineering could
You
come
get
in.
also,
Because those people now don't do studies.
Right, but to get to the point, so you're gonna let the selectmen choose A or B, and they're gonna go with B, and you're good at that, but you wanna also be at the same time going after the big money for construction. because the fellows are not gonna bid, are not gonna come up with cost estimates for you unless you have money on the way. So this is a small bit of money, but if you're going for construction, let's say, I don't know, let's say it's $150,000, you wanna be having an application into the state or feds for that money.
So how
Because why would
we don't
Davies
know-
Allen bid on something that you're still not sure you're gonna fund?
Right.
So I wanna make sure there's a good link, so he's done his work, it's got the cost estimates, we can take those cost estimates and go to the next funding cycle and get the money to build.
Okay.
So it's not, it's
So
pretty
we use his
close.
cost estimates to go for the big money?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, well, see,
Okay.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what we were waiting for, what I was waiting for was, we needed this number
Yes,
just to know what we're gonna do for funding, right?
yes,
So we'll also need the next number.
yes.
And so you're saying that when we get this back, it'll have that number.
It should have two numbers, like, well, you know, let's say X number of thousands, so $100,000 for phase one.
Yeah,
And
option
then-
A or
and-
option
and-
B, right.
Yeah, and then it would have their engineering seal on it, so they know what they're talking about, they know what they're
Okay,
proposing.
well, let's look at timeframe.
Oh.
We're not gonna be able to get this until town meeting, right?
If you wanna ask for a town match, yes, yeah.
So then we're talking a whole year before we get the funding for the,
No,
construction?
I would like it, I'd like it to go in as an application in this current year's cycle, which is likely to be mid-May, so that's before town meeting.
Well, we're not gonna be able to get this back like
So, no, we're asking for the state, let's say we're asking for $10,000, and we wanna put an application in May for $7,500 matched by the town's $2,500.
Mhm.
And
To
so,
fund this.
to fund that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that turnaround is, because they haven't set up any details yet of this current cycle. But then, let's say, he does his work, however it works out, he does his work over, what, how long will it take, 3 months? 2 months to do the work? To do his.
I don't know, if I was doing that, I think I could do it in a couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Nobody does anything in a couple of
Oh,
weeks.
okay, so timeline. And then, I don't have the federal cycle on my head for the construction dollars, but I'll get that back to you, I'll get that to you. So-
Didn't we have an
Yeah.
estimate for construction of this?
The board
Yeah,
worker that would
exactly.
be, yeah, $35 a square foot,
Oh,
like that.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, that's just off the top of my head. That was for, and then the pilings, $1 a foot length, or something like that.
I would say, and again, maybe this is just fine tuning it a little bit, is that there's not gonna be, you know, in order to qualify for state or federal dollars, that you have to have something that's designed and has an engineer stamp on it. So you're not gonna be able to say, Davies Allen has told us, or Mary Ellen's cousin has told us, you know, so it's gotta be but I'll find out how much flexibility there is, but if they're looking at competing applications from all over the state, and yours looks a little informal, you know, and everyone else has an engineering,
Okay.
you know, so I wanna
All right, so we gotta wait for this.
I wanna put you in the best foot
Right,
forward
but
here.
you want us to ask the budget committee for $10,000,
Uh,
waterfront money.
Well, let's just say
Set
when we
it
started,
aside, just say,
let's just say we're going today, as you're thinking, the town isn't gonna allocate 10,000, but maybe they'll allocate 2,500 if, in fact, this is a reasonably accurate cost.
And what could we allocate 2,500 with work from Public Works and
Well, could we do this? Could we say, give us 10,000 now, that'll get this going, and then we'll apply for the grant? No.
Because grants don't wanna pay for something you've already taken on. If you already took it on, then you don't need the money.
Yes, we do. We're borrowing.
I know you're trying to get work done, but you know what I mean, is they won't pay, it's reimbursement based, and so it's not for work that's been done
Right,
prior
so
to.
how do we get the cost estimate for this project in a timely manner? Like you're talking May, to be able to submit it?
As far
that's
as
the
we-
application
as far as we
paying for
know.
this.
So I don't know
And
what the turnaround is on that, because they haven't quite laid it out, but.
Well, when can
probably
we
gonna
get
be
the
July.
25, when can we get the 7,500 from the state?
It's gonna be in the
That's the
summertime,
same.
summer.
So we're not, so
No,
this
we're-
whole thing's
we're
gonna take
looking
a
at-
year or so.
So what you could do is say, think about this and see, can we actually figure out a way of funding this without asking anyone for any money? You know, I don't have an answer for that right now.
And then get that done immediately, and then we'll have our cost estimate that we can submit in May.
well, I don't know what the other,
Or whenever we have to submit it
Yep.
for the construction.
Yep, yep.
All right?
And the other piece is, just to show you how complicated this can be, these programs, as you get up to the real construction dollars, requires 50-50 cash match. And so that means you do need another cycle of town meeting to make the case for the town sharing 50% of the cost. So let's say it's $150,000.
So there's no sense to jump through hoops to listen.
So you see how the year may go, you've got it probably clear in your head, but the fact is that if it costs $100,000 to do this, and Mary Ellen says, hey, go for this agency or that, it's gonna be 50% cash, you know, and so that means you've gotta make the case with everyone, this is worthwhile, we've got these, we know the market is there, we know the revenue is gonna be an easy target, you know, our first year goal is gonna be exceeded with revenue, blah, 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 and you've gotta get a yes on the town vote for the rest of the money.
And take a convincing,
Yes, so it does take a while, it takes a while to work through because of the town.
and someone has to really go before them that can really
Yeah.
make the case.
Now, some towns, because they maybe have more flexibility and more options, they might organize a special town meeting in order to make it easier, but that still means you're aiming for a yes on allocating the dollars, so.
So the work that was done in Westport, the work that's done in all these small coastal towns is done this way. They have to come up with 50% of the construction costs.
So Kittery or
So
Kennebunkport
they're
or
gonna really want
Rockland.
these things
Yes,
to do them.
yes, and so that's meant that it has a lot of town leadership support. Right, right.
And we
Right.
do and we don't.
Right. So you've got an opportunity here to bring people along, to really educate them about the other marinas around the region and how Wiscasset is poised to.
Well, our track record so far is we get approvals from the selectmen and then everything dies. Same, that's where we went with the bathrooms, that's where we went with the connecting the two piers. And so this is the next thing that we're trying to do. And we said, because of the past history, we would get funding for this, which is unusual for a committee.
Yeah, you know, it's still, 20% local match is not bad, but that's only the beginning of the elephant there, or whatever it's called.
So the selectmen ought to be made aware of that.
Well, in one sense, I think.
If we get this,
Mhm.
and we get, let's say the town puts in 25, we get 75, then, okay, boys, the next phase, it's gonna cost you maybe $50,000-$75,000, because you're gonna have to match up.
Yep, I had
You
shared
wanna
with
do
John.
that, or that may kill the project right there before you even get going on this.
If they
Well,
can't-
we don't know the cost, so I don't wanna get too far.
Well,
into
we can
it.
estimate, we can say, hey, are you willing to spend $125, let's say the project
Yeah,
costs
yeah, you can-
$125,000, you willing to spend, $65,000 or so? And I think the answer's gonna be no.
Or should that be included like in the comp plan? The money so much allocated for,
Well, that's another good place to begin to make the case for these improvements all along the waterfront in White's Island, just to be able to demonstrate that the community wants this kind of thing. So one sense, getting ahead of things by being able to sort of rough estimate the cost. One sense that you could get people to say, that sounds pretty pricey, but then you lose the opportunity to take the year, Dick, to actually educate people, to have public meetings, to show people what's being proposed, to talk about the revenue projections. So I hear what you're saying, let's just find out now whether they're interested. I have provided to John these little write-ups about the grants, so he knows to be able to pay attention to everything.
If you spend let's say you spend $60,000 and the revenue is at the most $15,000 a year. That's really not a bad figure.
So I think you,
15,000 a year?
Yeah, 15 slips at $1,000 a piece,
Right,
$15,000 a year.
right, so it'd take 4 years to pay for it, right?
so maybe I can find some of the examples. I know Rockland, Camden, I'm sure Kennebunkport or Kittery, they've used these kinds of pots of money to build out improvements to their waterfronts.
So, and I remember when Lori was selling the rebuild of the commercial pier to the selectmen, she pointed out that the payments could come out of the interest on the reserves or something like that. So it made it so the taxpayers weren't taking it on. I don't know what's happened to it now, but that was the original argument.
So your point about the comp plan is that there's supposed to be a chapter in there about capital investment. So, you know, this could be, and more, the boardwalk and other things could be several items that are on a list, and to have a cover, and there's many other pieces in town that have to get addressed, but you actually end up having community conversations about these, and hopefully people rank them as high, medium, and low, and you get people supporting these things, so. So even if for some reason this goes sideways or we only go so far, I think it's important to have the community discussion about how important it is upgrading the waterfront, not only maintaining what you have, but also expanding down there, you know.
I think that's it, because otherwise it's just gonna keep going.
It'll sell them on the waterfront.
Yes,
Well-
yes, and that doesn't happen in one meeting.
No.
I think we've
Yeah,
gotta
no,
sell,
No,
you've
but
done it
it's
a
gotta
lot.
be a campaign.
but we've gotta sell our 5 selectmen first.
You
Yes,
just have to get permission,
I mean, we've gotta sell these guys, so
Yeah.
they're backing us up.
right?
Yeah.
And it looks
Or
like,
I think the community backing it, selectmen come and go, sorry, but we
Right.
do. So, yeah, and we can come and go too, but it's the whole community. I think there's like, we're generating some really good vibrations downtown now
Mhm.
with the art walks and the market fest and, you know, the new sidewalks and all that stuff.
So you want to
So
bring,
I think just capitalize on that. You
so
know, just-
bringing other people along, whether it's the yacht club or other people, other voters who can also speak to
I've talked to
the need.
you know, a recreational voter, only just as far as I've gotten, she's like, I'd way rather have a slip,
oh.
you know, and who wants to deal with a
So,
warrant?
I think to
Especially
get,
this
to
time.
get examples and testimonies and people willing to
Mhm.
speak at selectmen's meetings.
But we do have to, I think, find out what other towns, like,
Yeah, I can give you some
like other
examples.
design,
Oh,
or like what Robin Hood does.
I would let the engineering firm worry about the design.
Well, I mean, like a picture, you know, like, oh, that's neat, you know, what other towns have done.
Yeah, I was just thinking about funding and how they tapped into that, you know.
So like Robin Hood is more in line with Wiscasset financially.
Yeah, but
That's private.
They're
though, is
private.
they're 2
They
miles
also-
from open ocean,
Yeah, true,
and we're
that- Right, we're,
12.
we're a different
Right.
situation.
yeah.
It's kind of like the shellfish.
Yeah.
We've got Brian Beal, we've got University of Maine, we've got all kinds of people involved in it. What happens in Georgetown doesn't apply to Wisconsin.
Mhm.
It's so unique,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and I think this is similar.
Okay.
Mhm.
This for Wiscasset is unique to here. What was done in South Bristol, which we've seen, and other places.
Different.
But if, I can show you examples of how they decided to fund something. So I'll share with you, I'll find some examples to share with you. Not so much about the designs, but about,
Okay.
yeah, they went through 2 or 3 town meetings, or this is how they handle it.
Well, we'll get that figures out.
What would you suggest as the approach to get this funded to the town, to the selectmen?
I would review this, make sure it's as adequate as it needs to be, so whether it's $6,800 or whether any more detail needs to be added to this, so that you've got this as well built out as you want it to. Talk with John about, so you've already talked with him about
She's
Jeremy.
gonna talk.
Yeah, but say, hey, well, even though we have Gartley and Dorsey helping us with this at this phase, do we need to go out to bid if we get the money? So I think that's a helpful thing to find out.
We'll go out to bid if we get the
So,
money for this.
yeah, so that Gartley and Dorsey, Wright Pierce, Barney Baker, does it have to go out to bid?
I called Baker and he never responded.
Yeah, because they don't want, but they may be when you get the dollars, you know, they may be, you're asking for pro bono stuff and that's.
Not really, is that a lot of work right there?
I don't know what the company policy is, I
I
know.
mean, for putting this together?
No, but you haven't been successful, I'm just saying, what is the town's policy about going out to bid on?
Oh, what's the town's policy?
Right, so even though this is nice and free and
Mhm.
you've got a suitable engineering firm, when you receive the money at some point, are you obligated to go out to bid?
Yeah.
So there's that, and so let me talk with the state agency who, who controls the money and who has the program, and see what their turnaround process is. If you submit it in May, when is it likely to be approved and all that stuff, so I'll find out.
So
about
that's
that.
to fund this?
Yes, yeah, they haven't
Okay.
announced it, I'm sure it's gonna happen any day now, but they
And
haven't.
you're not talking about going out to bid for this study?
Yes.
For the study?
Yes.
Yeah, she's asking the.
Oh.
Now, it may not be needed, I don't know.
So if the town, like if we took this to town manager and he took it to the selectmen, just said,
He should be able to
and
tell
they
us
said-
tomorrow, he should be able to tell us in 1 minute
Yeah,
what the policy is on bidding,
exactly.
okay,
without any.
bidding for a study.
Do we have to go up and?
Well, it's an engineer, yeah, it's a
Bidding
$10,000,
for an engineering study.
yeah,
Sewer
10,000.
treatment plant had to have 3 bids.
Hmm?
Sewer treatment plant just had to have 3 bids on,
For a study though.
for doing a study on infrastructure and stuff, but we went for vendor bids, and we still had to go through the bid process.
I can understand it
Well,
from
when they came
vendors, but
back-
I just think,
But when they came back from the bid process, there was only one that was qualified.
Mhm, mhm.
So the town manager made the call that, since there's only one out that's qualified to do your work, we don't need to go out to bid every time we need it done.
So that's great.
They met
oh,
all,
I see, okay.
And I
they
think-
met all
well,
of.
I think this has to do with a dollar amount in your town, so I don't know whether Westport bids out everything on, $1,000, I don't know, but towns do have sort of a financial limit.
There is definitely a bid process in this town.
Yeah,
Well, and I think just
And it's a dollar amount also.
yeah.
and I understand that, but I'm just thinking the style of engineer, like these folks were recommended to me at the, not really recommended, but suggested that we contact because of their style.
Right, I appreciate that, For example, we have used Ransom Engineering, which is a firm out of Portland, which is now doing your cleanup at Mason Station. We worked with them we worked with an engineering firm for a couple of years to qualify for an EPA grant. In the long run, we had 7 responses to it when we finally got the money, and we chose somebody else who was more qualified. So even though we spent a lot of time with a pro bono firm, they ended up not making the best presentation. And so I think you've got to be very careful. This is not your money, right? So this is why you've got to find out from the town what their policy is. It's not like it's within your budget and you have full authority over it. Again, you're getting the town permission to submit the application, you're getting a town match for it. So what's the policy? And frankly, without naming them, I'm sure there's probably half a dozen firms in the state that could qualify to do this, so. They're not unique like the vendors for the sewage treatment.
Right.
I see.
And again, it's just a learning process for,
Specialized vendors, right.
yeah.
They,
Well, but I think there's specialized vendors that can do for waterfront projects too. Some are more industrial, and some are more,
Right, well, I would
I
just,
mean, I know you need everything to be safe and secure and all that.
well, this is just about public bidding
Because
process.
sewer treatment plant basically uses, Dirigo Engineering because we got a good working relationship in there.
Mhm.
Very, very reasonable. I think,
Yeah.
And we've also used writing peers, but
Yeah.
Wiscasset uses right pairs for a lot of stuff.
for a lot of stuff.
Well,
For a lot of
we
years.
right
They're
here.
great outfit, but,
And I don't know why.
well, I don't know. Dirigo is more on the ground, making stuff work, infrastructure stuff.
Right,
Where writing peers is more
glorified.
Engineering,
qualified
planning.
engineering, planning.
Yeah.
Dirigo is more, okay, let's get it done.
Yeah, yeah. So it's over
And they're
a
reasonable.
learning curve here.
Very reasonable.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of pro bono stuff.
So I'm gonna get more info about the state process if they figured it out by now. Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to ask the town manager what the Wiscasset's process is, given this.
All good
And we're
information.
gonna make sure that everything that we slightly is,
Take some time to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, and you can do that, Nick? Like, have we thought of everything that we?
I don't think everything's in
Right. We don't have to do it tonight.
No, well,
Right.
No.
you guys know more than.
there. Yeah, design various options from the float layouts. Visual coloring and preliminary pricing. Construction estimate. Project coordination committees review and present. Yeah.
Electric and water and. like that. I mean, make sure all those little bits and pieces.
Yeah, or
Are
you come up with
feasible.
language where it covers extra,
Okay.
some things, yeah.
So go do that.
So do you wanna take this, Dick? I don't know whether this is information that's interesting to you, whatever Paul developed a few years ago. Yeah, I think you're right, Frank, his sketches were, not,
Wow,
yeah,
it was pretty ambitious.
yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing, only whatever
Maybe-
scale
maybe- Yeah,
these guys come up with.
yeah, yeah.
Which would be
15.
appropriate for here.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's all the
You
things
think
we
this is,
discussed.
okay.
So our town manager's, he's the town manager.
Mhm.
It doesn't look like there's someone else who's gonna just
Nope, I
oversee.
guess he's staying.
He's staying.
Okay, so let's see. So moving forward with wanting to reinvigorate the waterfront, what do you think about coming up with some sort of marketing strategy? I mean, trying to, how are we gonna sell it? This is,
Are you talking about selling
the ideas, the waterfront,
To the town.
or to just, yeah.
So that we
Just get that energy going.
so we,
Well, you know, at the last meeting when I guess I proposed this, Kim Anderson said, geez, you guys keep coming back.
Mhm.
In other words, we refuse to do anything, but you keep coming back with proposals.
That's what they've asked us to do.
And she likes,
Well, that's what we do.
Right.
for want of a better term, she likes our grit and perseverance in coming back.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, but we kind of like to get something done.
Well,
Instead
that's,
of just going through all the process of this and finding out that, sounds good, boy, Steve, boy, you did a hell of a job, but,
yeah, thanks for the
See,
And that's
entertainment.
where I think we need to sell our 5 selectmen first.
and how do we do that?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
do not know.
Mhm.
We need to have them on board with us, and have them and us educate the people,
Mhm.
so we get the funding from the townsfolk.
can you, does Wiscasset do things like workshops? Where the selectmen are meeting and a particular committee is talking with them about a certain project or two, and it's really not open to the public can listen in, but it's really a workshop
Right.
session. Does the selectmen do that?
Yeah.
I know Bruce Bay Harbor do it
Yeah.
occasionally.
We haven't done it in a long time, but I
What
remember back.
particular issues?
Well, you could say, for example, I'm making it up, that the waterfront would like to see X, Y, and Z
Oh,
happen
yeah,
this
I
year.
know, this would be an opportunity, a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
good opportunity to
Yeah.
do that, but
Yeah.
I don't know when they do that or what subjects they
You
discuss.
ask for it, you ask.
Yeah.
Ask for a workshop.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Right.
how would you ask it, at the selectmen's meeting, or, and start with the
Well, I
town
was,
manager?
again, I started with John, and sometimes the workshops are held before selectmen's meetings, so like if they come in, I forgot when they're held here, but maybe they're held at 4:30 to 5:30, and then you start your regular meeting.
Well, maybe it's, you
or
have
another
to
night.
talk to one of the selectmen, like,
Yeah.
when I was trying to get the Providence here, I talked to Bob Langdon, the 4th of July
Yeah,
day.
Yeah.
And, he says, well, yeah, that sounds good, make a presentation to the selectmen. I said, okay, and that's what we did,
Mhm.
and it went. So maybe talk to one or two of the selectmen and say, this is what we wanna do, what do you suggest, how do we proceed?
Mhm.
to get to Dave's larger thing about really educating people, not just about yes or no on this, but about the various things you want to accomplish, how you see, how you see the waterfront contribute to the economy of the town.
Yeah, well, and two,
It's
we
a
get
gem,
a
but we're not-
revenue
We're
generating.
not utilizing our gem we have
No.
at all. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Seems like there's 3 selectmen that understand it, and there's 2 more that just don't seem to. I know one of them in particular is, that waterfront doesn't mean anything to him, I really don't think it does. And I'm surprised too, that he feels that way about it, but
You have a unique position here. You don't want to become Booth Bay Harbor
No, we
or another
won't.
community, but you have a beautiful setting. It's a modest space.
Deepest.
the,
It's
Deepwater Harbor,
deep, it's a walkable community. It's not overly, it's commercial, it's not overly commercialized, you know,
Right.
it's really, I think it's very special.
There's all nice eateries, you know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of nice stuff around town.
Yeah, and you're not looking to turn it into Disney World or
Right.
whatever the next thing is here.
It's a shame that Mason Station hadn't, if that man had lived,
You imagine?
we'd be talking about something real different today. You know, number one, he would have dumped cash into it, just to get the thing linked together. He would have done it, I know he would have done it, but he dropped
Oh,
it.
so, but what's happening now at Mason Station is that you're spending EPA dollars to clean up what's called the ash ponds, which ideally, in another year, whenever that's all done, maybe sooner, those lots could be available for sale. So you could get some redevelopment out there. So I'm hoping, I know things take a long time.
Some serious money to be spent there
Yeah,
to get that thing cleaned up. to the
well, they
point.
got two grants for 400, but anyway, they've got a chunk of change. I think they're having a meeting in a couple of weeks here to talk about that.
Isn't there like two spots, two ash ponds that have been cleaned up?
Well, there's 4 ash ponds, but on 2 different technically lots, so I
Okay.
think they're all getting addressed, I think.
Hmm.
So $400,000
But I think you think-
total.
Are you gonna be at that meeting?
No, we have our own board meeting that night, I'm afraid. Too many meetings.
Yeah, definitely planned.
But I think to get to Dave's point about really just not only getting the selectmen to talk about this, but to talk about the bigger picture and talk about it in a positive way.
We've gotta get them on board with us. I don't know.
Otherwise,
Well, I think otherwise we're just spinning our wheels
Right.
and
So
raising the rent on the
so
main
be
street
sure you
here.
bring colleagues and friends and
Right.
other
Yeah.
people who work down there.
Okay, so we'll ask for a workshop. Anybody want to connect with a select person?
Speak to the person who you think might be more leaning this way, but also I think, yeah, make sure you visit with John.
I don't mind asking the town manager, because I'm already gonna take this to him. Those are my 2 questions.
Okay. So the purpose of having a workshop is to have a good general education, a good general discussion about waterfront goals and vision and things like that. So
So
it's
what do you
not,
want?
it's not asking, well, so
Not
you're
blue
not,
sky, but just practically.
I think there's also a limit to that, like they don't make decisions there. So you're really not asking them to allocate anything or to
No.
approve this, you really just.
It's ideas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting on the
Yeah.
same page.
Yeah.
I think I remember doing it with Lori. Confuse you. Anyway, okay. Moving along, this is a draft letter to the budget committee that now sort of seems like kind of silly, with
Well,
the money that came back, but anyway, we still may
we
need to
still
do
may
it.
need, right, so you're gonna, yeah.
Yep, so you've got a copy in your packets, if you want, it just, FYI, I've shown it to Mr. O'Connell, and, I don't think it's ready to go anywhere yet.
Well, yeah, change the numbers,
You want me to change the numbers now?
for $10,000 that we want and 2,500
Okay, okay,
for this study.
Do you think that's a reasonable?
Those are the numbers, I think, from the seeing this is 68. I think
Okay.
this, grand,
okay,
we can work with and
okay.
You don't want to be late to the budget process if we're asking for any money, so
No, that's what, this will get us on top of it.
that seems pretty reasonable.
I'll try to talk to you.
I don't mind trying to talk to like Kim.
Come-
I don't mind trying to talk to any of them, it just doesn't really.
Kim is definitely on board. I think.
I don't mind, asking Catherine or Judy.
Yeah.
Judy's getting done.
Because
Okay, people.
if none of this stuff goes, I wonder what we're doing.
That's
Know what I mean?
basically what I'm getting at, is at what point do we say,
We're pushing the rope.
you know, at what point, why are we here? Why are we, you know, I hate to
Either
say
that or
it.
we're just not good enough and we can't sell stuff.
Well, I don't wanna be Debbie Downer, but, you know, at some point,
I would hope too that, parallel to this, one or more of you guys are contributing to the comp plan, whether you do it 1 month or some other time. It's certainly not done, it's almost just started, but to make sure the waterfront gets recognized, in the comp plan.
Which I did ask Kim about the schedule, and she said when she had one, she would let.
Okay, yeah, I think they're still getting organized,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's important. So apparently, at the selectmen's meeting on Tuesday, something may have come up about Main Street Pier.
think
I don't
it's
know, he
some
said,
paper.
well, because you've got this in your packet too, this is like, this came from Mr. O'Connor, who gave it to me yesterday.
Right?
And it says agenda item 9E, January 7th, 2020, so, anyway, this is what I guess he gave them.
Geez, I think that sounds like some of the same stuff we've been talking right along, isn't it?
What do you mean?
The wiring and the safety concerns and
Right.
wanting to put up netting around.
Yep, so I know, instead of netting, they put up wire mesh around the outside. It actually, it's very, looks good, and I guess it's weatherproof and won't tear and all that. So I think it's great.
Well,
So I
keep the
guess-
kids from going up the road.
Right.
Yes, yeah,
So it's-
yeah.
I have enough netting. to
I was
go
just
all the way
gonna
around
say,
the
I
house.
wonder if we could get netting.
Well, I have netting.
Well, no, they've already put it up. It's up.
No, but to go over the wire, like net.
Oh, to look.
Oh, to make it
Yeah,
look a
it'll
little
look
bit better.
different.
Well, I think we might have to, it would look different.
So,
I think the wire looks good, because
Oh,
it
it
doesn't
does.
really
Well,
show.
it's there.
So, and it's there, and it's.
And that was to appease the insurance.
insurance company.
Right,
Mhm.
and the netting, I think we just have to ask for permission to do that.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
See, that came from a failed business over by Mason.
oh,
They tried to raise salmon, trout over there.
oh,
Whole massive thing they put in there. That's where all the floats came from, they have a bunch of floats, a lot of floats.
oh,
At where?
At the co-op, they don't use any of them. There's
Over
piles.
at North End Co-op?
Yeah.
Yeah, they came from that
oh,
big farm.
interesting.
They're all galvanized walkways that are real high-end floats. And there's stacks from over there. They don't use any of them. They've been piled up every years.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about, okay.
I wonder. Good to know.
No.
Okay,
They
so,
probably have to get them the hell out of there because they have taken up a lot of real
We're
estate.
staying away, yeah.
apparently, let's see, so there can't be any extension cords on the pier at all, and so that might trigger moving the buildings so that they meet the outlets.
No, I don't think it'll trigger that. It'll cause the town to put something in conduit and up the code. Because I talked with the code enforcement officer, and the wiring down there right now is not up to code
Right.
at all.
Oh,
Period, end story. It's not. It never has been.
So, yeah. So, and then there's concern, but, which Dick, I'm gonna bet you can answer this question. You said, remember when we were talking about the permanence of the buildings on, over water? And you said, something about if they're on a pier on pilings, it's different than being on a, what did you say? That, like having to remove the
Oh,
buildings.
we were talking about the inspection of the,
The necessity to
Yeah.
remove the
and do
buildings.
we have to move the buildings? And what Proc said was that the inspection for the structural integrity of the pier does not require the buildings to be moved because the buildings are on the planking.
Right.
They're looking at the underpinning, which is the pilings
And
and
podcasts.
the connecting
And the
beams to
beams.
the pilings
mhm.
and how that is all supported. So if they have to be moved, it would be just to inspect
The
the
planking.
planking itself, and
yeah.
that would be just a short jog to look at it if they can't see what's there presently.
Right.
Okay, so then was it the DEP fellow that we talked to about? I think it's sketchy, it's like whether it's legal to have the building stay on the pier all winter, year round.
I don't know
I swear we
who's
talked about,
dealing with that.
okay,
Whose requirement is it to move those in the winter?
I think
You're
if
saying
they're
it's a
if they're
DEP?
temporary in nature, then they need to be removed.
No. Who's saying?
I'm
that?
asking.
Is that DEP or?
Yes, I swear that was something that had come up somewhere, and then you said something like, no, if it's on, maybe it had to do with the planking and
Well, it's temporary in use in the sense that it's only used seasonally, right? Open seasonally, and again, it's a judgment call about whether you wanna ask people to move
Okay,
their
so
buildings.
temporary in use is different than temporary in placement.
Well, it depends on DEP's, definitions
Yeah, but
there, so.
I don't understand the purpose of moving it. I
See,
mean, I don't know what that means.
Well, and see,
I
I think
mean,
that, see, and I think this is a perfect workshop.
If it takes the stress off the
Situation.
pier for the winter, then I don't.
Well, it's kind of like you're in business, but your permit is for the full, it's only, you're running from April to October, and so why are you there the rest of the season?
No,
In fact,
we're
no.
renting yearly now.
Right.
So you're
we're-
renting yearly now, so you've upped
Pier
it.
policy.
Pier
Right,
policy,
right,
yeah.
okay, so that's,
Well, yes, yes. But if you read down through here, this would be this is workshop stuff, I think.
okay.
Because, we can
Talk about
only
it,
do so
sure.
much, don't you think, without knowing the code stuff and what the selectmen are
Yeah,
thinking. It's like,
yeah.
exactly what you want the buildings to move.
It does damage to the dock.
That's what
Every time you.
Every time you move them, we're
Well,
damaging the
when this
dog.
DEP inspection of the waterfront use to be scheduled, when that's scheduled, that question could be asked, could it not?
If we're invited to the meeting.
Oh, I would assume you'd be invited, my gosh.
Mhm.
Are you kidding me? An inspection of the waterfront? Who else,
Bring
better
one.
than the chairman of the waterfront committee?
I bring
I
my-
mean, we've designated 10 spots,
Right,
so there's no reason why we can't have those permanent in those 10 spots
mhm,
and put legal up to code wiring to those 10 spots
mhm.
and then not move the buildings unless another vendor is coming on. Because every time we move the buildings,
Yeah.
it causes damage to the dock.
Mhm.
We need to be on board here and
So this is, I think, our first
So the
workshop.
second question of Mr. whoever is to get invited to this.
Mhm, mhm.
Have a workshop.
No, to be invited to the,
Get
to
invited
no,
to
yeah,
the
yeah,
inspection.
yeah,
DEP
yeah.
inspection of the
Inspection,
pier,
yes.
of the waterfront.
Mhm.
And why does DEP want to inspect the pier again?
Well,
I think the town does.
Well, the insurance company.
Maybe
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
requesting,
Yeah, let's put it,
okay.
But according to the public works guy, it sounds like they're satisfied at this point,
Who said
DEP
that?
is,
the insurance company.
Right.
Because there's fencing
yeah,
and they blocked the dock out.
yeah,
And, see, I thought at one point it sounded like they were gonna actually physically make a permanent barrier so you couldn't get on the dock,
yeah,
which obviously, that's pretty silly, that you have to move a building out there.
Right.
We're gonna
Right.
disassemble the whole thing, it's,
yeah, yeah.
but the entrance to the dock, and this is another thing too. I meant to mention this, you may wanna put a fence up by those porta potties, seeing whether there's not gonna be a vehicle on the dock anymore, to block the view of the porta potties.
But there's a two-way thing there, you want people to see them,
Well,
to
no,
find them, don't you want people to find them? to
well,
use them?
they'll find them.
It's on the website,
They'll
unfortunately.
skip them all.
What they're doing now is they're getting off Route 1, going to the porta potties, getting in the cab and continuing on.
Okay,
They're not-
but some blockage that it decreases some uses of it,
Visibility.
but in fact, people do need to be able to find them.
Oh, they'll find them.
All right,
They have already,
Okay,
it's on the
I'm just-
website.
yeah.
It is on the website.
Right, instead of
I
having,
mean, physically find them,
Right.
that's okay,
instead of
that's okay,
having a main
really.
restroom at the waterfront where we've got porcelain and the whole works, and water
Yeah,
where they can wash their hands,
right,
that should be the main focus. We need to redo the website.
yeah,
So that's the main bathroom
right,
projected on the website, and not the porta potties.
right, right.
That's an issue that we have to redo on
Is
the
that
website.
something Kathy can fix?
Of course it is, yeah.
See, there's some people that are under the impression that the only reason those porta potties are on that dock
It's
is
for the
for
vendors.
the vendors.
Oh, right, right.
And that is
right.
not-
It's I know it's not, really,
Well,
I know.
I'm trying to
It's
public.
pretty hard to explain that to some individuals, they're
Right.
convinced of it,
You don't hear it.
But you see that, anyway, you see the effort that Damascus is making to
Oh,
put
yeah.
bathrooms on their
Right.
waterfront,
Right.
because they've heard it from all of their merchants, not all of their merchants, but they've heard it for years.
Yeah,
Right,
And it's become part of a big, big plan, and again, Damascus is a different community.
right.
So they've got a lot of private dollars that can help them with that.
and it's gonna be expensive over there.
Yeah, I think they're stunned with how much, anyway, we'll see,
Yeah.
yeah. But then again, I think it shows how important public bathrooms are to waterfront
Right.
areas for multiple reasons.
In all areas, the one that's up at Sherman Lake, I guess isn't open anymore because they can't maintain it. It's like, it's perfectly good.
Yeah, and that's a nice,
That's an M-Dog one.
yeah, shame.
Weird. Very
Yeah,
weird.
it's, yeah, tragic.
People.
Okay, so apparently, we like sold Christmas trees down on the pier at Christmas
Right.
time,
Okay,
which I didn't see what was a big deal, but I guess I don't know if we need to change our policies again.
I didn't
Because-
think it was a big deal, I thought it was
I
a great use for them to.
Well, no, they
Well-
didn't get permission, or maybe it
Well-
was because it was slippery down there?
Yeah.
And
He
I
wasn't
see-
on the pier, was he?
It,
He had the
She-
trees out front,
that-
but he
that-
was in the main life building.
his daughter that's his
Brittany.
daughter.
Yeah.
Brittany's his daughter.
Yeah,
Any life building?
yeah, the one right next to, it's right next to Ron, isn't it?
Right.
Okay.
Alright,
Oh, okay, I thought
The new
it
little blue
was just
one.
in the parking area.
So
No,
wouldn't-
his
wouldn't
trees
they-
out there.
Wouldn't they need to get a temporary business permit to?
It's
Well,
I,
Not necessarily,
Okay.
because she's.
well, she was there.
Yeah, she was there. She
But it was off-season, you see?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
oh, I
winter
see.
storage,
Right,
you
right,
see that where it's
Yeah.
going, okay, so is
So we
that
should-
something new we've gotta put in our policies in? Because we had it in at one time where you would say whether it was just rental or you were gonna have a business, because you were gonna sell shrimp or something.
We tried shrimp,
Yeah, well,
they
yeah.
sold Christmas trees down there,
But still with Holiday Market Fest, doing stuff in that long weekend or however, you're likely to get people who
Right.
wanna sell wreaths.
we're trying to market the waterfront, so why wouldn't we penalize these folks for doing anything
So you
to
might
bring
want to-
attention to the waterfront?
Okay,
It doesn't
so,
make
so
sense.
how do we make it clear?
Well, I don't think we are, David, are
I
we?
don't think we are, but how do we make it clear going forward that all our ducks are in a row, that I don't know, we knew the guy was gonna sell Christmas trees, they knew about the chamber having Santa down there. I don't know if it was slippery, you know how at night now?
Hasn't the town marketed this Christmas holiday fest?
Well, this is sort of a collaborative group with the chamber and some of their
Yeah,
volunteers.
they work together.
But since it's going well, I think you want to anticipate writing something into your peer policy saying that all they have to do is, I don't know.
They use
It would have
permit.
been like a day's
They
permit.
use
Yeah.
permit.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
the problem,
Or, let's
Well,
Actually,
actually,
no,
that-
and that
Is
is
it
approved by the
$35?
town
it's
manager,
$25
so.
a day.
so I would just cut that in half or something for the winter season.
Let's just say it was 7 days, that's a lot of money to vend trees.
Right, so I think
Yeah.
you want to come up with something more modest for the winter time, because it's
Well-
totally unpredictable with the.
This was done by someone who has the space on
Oh,
the pier.
yes.
Right, on the pier.
It just happens
So
to be
she-
her father that has the trees.
So we're right back to like with the lobster holiday.
But she was selling them.
She was,
From her business.
she was there, he was there helping,
So where does
Off-season.
that enter into our policy?
because it's it's
Season was
supposedly
over.
closed.
What's closed?
If they were in winter storage,
in winter storage and not
the time of
be
year.
able to sell all
So,
that.
What is?
It wasn't.
Everybody.
Her business?
Well, and
everybody,
all mine,
everybody.
yeah.
Well,
They
the
closed-
chamber,
they
the
closed-
chamber too, because they had their building open.
We have, wait a minute,
I agree.
we have timeframes on
Yeah,
the use of the
Right.
building?
there's storage and there's open.
Is that,
We
Yeah.
need to,
boy, I missed that.
Yeah, well,
Well, we
you
need
know.
to-
But now
well,
recognizing that you're gonna be doing more Christmas activities, you've got to allow for it now, but at more affordable
Mm,
rates.
It's gotta be cheaper than that.
Yeah,
Okay.
particularly if they're already paying rent.
I didn't know that.
But, and also, the lady from Moody's is really psyched to be on that dock.
Yeah,
She'll be there next year. I've talked to her 2 or 3 times.
yeah, good.
She's all excited about
Yeah,
it.
she's
so when you
flying
talk to
on,
her again, tell her to come to our next meeting.
The
Loves to haul it.
loves to
I
haul it.
think, I almost wonder if she'd be better off to come up with something else, but I don't know. That's up to her, she'll have to make that decision,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I guess it'll go between Ron and the Potter.
Between the Potter and the railing and the rail cap, that's the only spot.
Right.
Other than if they buy off to haul it where it is
Loves the
Right
house, already
now.
got a spot, right?
Love's
Right.
already got a spot.
I tried to talk her into coming up where Naomi is.
Right.
To me, it's as good a place as any of them.
That's where,
Yep, yep.
that's where Love's Holic is right
No,
now.
no,
No.
no, they're behind it.
They're behind it.
No,
They're close to
Oh,
the chamber.
Naomi's
No.
building's still there.
right,
Maybe I'm confused.
But it's leaving.
right, it's leaving, right, so they're gonna come down to the corner.
Well, they could.
Okay,
That's where they wanna come down to,
Right.
that's what they said in the meeting.
Yeah, but they won't, they're done. You won't see them there again. Love's
Jail.
Holic is
Oh,
it.
no, I don't mean Love's Holic, I mean the new folks.
The new folks.
the moot.
Yeah, she thinks it's important to be where you were just saying,
Right.
and I
That's
do and don't agree. Like, I think where Ron moved to, they're walking past it.
Right.
They've gone, they're somehow so focused to get onto the dock, they're going past it. And then once they come
They're
over,
better off to move that Love's Holic from where the jail is, right to where, from where it is now to where the jail is.
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, yes.
That's my
And
opinion.
stay there.
Yeah,
Best visibility.
oh, yeah,
You've got the walkway on,
See it.
you've got the picnic
Right
tables
there.
here.
yeah,
It's the best spot,
Yeah.
other than where you are,
yeah,
from the pier, you
Yeah.
know, on the pier, by far.
yeah, yeah.
What
it
about
is.
the rec pier as far as that ice cream business down there?
Exactly, that's why we should invite them to a workshop. What do we do?
Do you think they'll be there again?
They're still not complying with the.
They were in violation all last year.
Because of the town frame.
That's what, I think we need to have a workshop.
They opened it all last year?
Yeah, but you couldn't really
Oh,
tell
oh,
because
oh.
they had air conditioning on in there and so everything was buttoned up. It's not like it seemed open.
Oh, my goodness.
You
Oh,
didn't
my
see somebody out reading a book or.
See, that's the problem we're having with $100 or $150 now, isn't it? We pass
Electric.
electric, when they're running air conditioners and stuff.
Totally different.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom, yeah,
So we,
yeah.
I mean, the town's going behind, it's crazy to do
Well,
it.
especially, you know, down there, it would be easy to put a meter down there.
That's why I
Not
say.
put 10 at the other place.
That's why I say, each vendor has their own meter, I've said 100 times, I'm so tired of saying that.
Mhm.
You would think somebody would pay attention.
Nobody needs to listen.
I know, it's just.
So why don't we schedule a workshop to talk, I think we
But
should
all
because
kinds of things,
one
so you're
thing,
not, yeah.
Oh,
Well, and
that's
they-
only
they're gonna start reapplying, they can't February
Right.
1st.
Right,
That's around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got our things in November, so.
and we have to reiterate, when you talk to John, if you could reiterate that if checks come in, do not deposit them until they're approved by the new policies. If be approved by the selectmen before we can accept payment. Because that's what screwed us
That's
up
right,
last year.
so,
That's what screwed us up last year.
So you're taking money without things being approved?
Right, send the check in, the
People don't-
Well, and I
application,
think
boom.
cashing
People
the
don't like
check
it.
makes a contract.
People don't like that, right, yeah.
Cash the check makes the contract, so
Yeah.
we have to get with Kathy, the
Yeah,
administrative assistant, and tell her not to cash any checks.
Well, we'll let John tell.
Right, right.
that
Okay.
before I jump in. Poor John, poor John got jumped on by that ruthless Waterfront committee.
Mean old, mean old
See
one.
the headlines now.
It's wiring, it seems to me that somewhere along the line of this inspection of the waterfront and pier business, the meters and the wiring that you're talking about
Right.
has to be brought up,
Right,
or at least pursued.
right.
And how do we do that? Is that another workshop?
I think it's all part of the same workshop. It's like, where do we go and who's gonna do what?
so is it likely when they inspect the pier that somebody like Bruce is gonna say, is gonna bring up not your,
Right.
but the idea about having separate outlets and
Right,
stuff?
they have RE meters that each vendor can contract. CMP can drop power to the wall.
Yeah.
Each vendor has to get power from there. They have a meter number
Mhm.
that feeds their vendor shop,
And they get a bill.
and they get a bill.
Yeah.
Not one vendor paying 80% of the
Right,
bill.
right.
You know, that's just not right.
Right.
Especially when the chamber has and
AC gets running, then.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
AC gets running and the ice cream place running AC and all the coolers and stuff,
So have you
we're going
talked,
behind.
have you talked informally with Bruce whether that's something that he would see as a recommendation to make?
I talked to him and he says the wiring is shambles down
you know.
But that
Yes,
takes
totally.
takes town money then to fix that, to
Yeah.
to do it
So
right.
that's a budget, would be a budget
It's
item.
I don't know, I don't
there.
know
The
what
problem
it
is,
was.
we can't legally accept money for payment on electrical service as a vendor, because when we accept money for the electrical service on the application,
Yeah,
we're taking on the liability,
Responsible for it.
right, the responsibility that that wiring is up to code.
Push, yeah,
And it is not
yeah.
at all.
Yeah, and the sad part is they'll redo the wiring, put in the ground faults, and within 2 years, they'll fail.
Right.
They
Just because of
just
the
won't
salt
stay
air and
working.
stuff.
It isn't gonna.
It's just maintenance.
Is it because of the moisture and all that down there?
See, that's why I ran my own,
Right,
my own actual physical power to the building, so I can rely on it working.
right.
And I can get an electrician down there, deal with that, you know, that aspect of it. Ground faults make sense, but your fuse panel has ground faults in it.
Right.
It's not like, I don't know how they even came up with that in some ways, but.
Well, that's become a problem at, for slips where they provide power.
Oh,
They have a ground fault detector in their system,
right,
and if you have leakage on a boat,
Right.
which is very common on old boats or even new boats, because of the environment, the moisture and everything, it will detect that
interpret.
and trip it off.
You may really need it,
So,
and you're not there to find out, you
and there
know?
goes your bills pump, there
No,
goes anything else that you need,
Yeah.
security and other such
Yeah.
things.
You mean if the thing gets tripped?
Yeah, and see, and
It will get
it's
tripped.
not due to their supply, it's due to the boat
Right,
problems.
With moisture?
Yeah, whereas the best way to do that is to run a line to the boat and then have your ground fault detector on the boat and let that trip internally if that's a problem, instead of tripping the whole thing. So you still have power to your bilge pump and that, but that one circuit has tripped
right,
its own ground fault
yeah.
inside the vessel.
Like an older refrigerator will trip them.
And so, one of the problems with electrical on slips is the whole system could go out because one guy's got a ground fault on his boat and nobody gets power. So, that's a downside of that.
yeah.
And that's due to technology, you know. I wanted to mention to you, we talked briefly with her about, having Brian Moulton of Railroad Railroad DOT,
Right.
talk to you about your
So
proposal.
down, talk to us again.
Would you want to get a hold of him and have a meeting?
I think we've got a couple of names, so it's Nate Moulton and Brian Reese.
Brian Reed, Nate
Yeah,
Moulton,
yeah.
did I get that backwards?
You kind of combined them into one.
Okay.
That's okay, somebody's listening to you. So is it Brian Reese, or is that his?
Brian
Reeves,
Reeves.
Reeves, okay, I wasn't sure.
And
Yeah.
Nate Moulton, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's Nate Moulton
And Brian.
Brian Reeves.
and you have his number.
Yes, I sent it to you. I can send it to Dave.
So that would be walking, taking a look at
Right.
what, the new idea about White Island?
Yes, his
Yeah.
proposal,
Because I had left a message with them some time ago about any higher standards for crossing to White Island where the old bridges were. But
Right.
since then, we've come up with something else.
Right.
well, the thing is, on his, that bridge, if he disallows that, then we're back to the old bridge.
Right.
Yeah,
Back-
yeah, so-
Or back to sitting on pylons away from the bridge and continuing the walkway. We can still do it without using the DOT bridge,
Yeah,
but we'll just be on pylon and just, we'll go by them and then, but we can still incorporate the fence to keep the people off the tracks, and we can still do all the same stuff. And I did talk to Don Davies at the Waterfront, at the yacht club about that, and he said he didn't see any problem with us walking across the yacht club lawn, but we should send a courtesy letter to the new commander to get his blessing, basically.
They cross the tracks all the time, yeah.
Right, right, they've got their own
But
cross.
that also has to get sold to the select board. That concept, right?
Right.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, we're well ahead of things,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you're trying to find out whether
Right,
it's
trying to find
acceptable.
out.
We're just finding out if we
Yeah.
can do it,
What
then
hoop
we'll
we
try
gotta
to
jump
sell it.
through?
Yeah,
And I was thinking of calling, but you know the detail that you wanna go to with it, and, so you'd be the guy.
You can go, or we
we
meet
invite them all,
together.
we invite,
Yeah, I don't
Well,
want that,
let's
but
meet
I don't
together.
wanna get involved with them without you there, because
No,
it's your
Your
idea,
brainchild.
and,
fine.
no, but I mean, if he comes up with, no, this isn't gonna work, and I come back to you and I say, he said it's no good, you say,
Wow.
why?
And then
So I
we'll
say
say, well,
fine.
did you tell me
It
about
should be-
we'd rather have
Say
Dave,
fine.
Dave arguing with him than you, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to eliminate one bridge and stay off crossing the
If,
tracks.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
Just
Anyway.
like-
Is there anything else tonight, folks? No? Okay, motion to adjourn. Frank? You second it? Dave?
Yes.
So go back to the more information and.
I'll check on IV meters and wiring for Main Street here. I'll double check with Bruce and
Yeah, see,
see what I gotta jump through hoops there, and I'll call the town electrician Frank Calvin and see if we, you still have that magazine on IV meters, by chance?
That magazine that showed the meters.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do about a workshop?
I'm gonna ask
I think there's
for.
some boats in the harbor. It almost sounded like they were reconditioned, CMP.
I'd like to discuss everything, but I think we should start with the Main Street pier policies.
Yeah, right.
That's as far as we get.
yeah, you line up 2 or 3
400 bucks for
topics,
whole pier? I mean,
and,
Yeah.
Well, actually,
start-
wasn't
This
it?
is
You don't need
one.
one.
I'm gonna check
You
this
don't
out.
Well,
You don't need nine.
I should have one. I don't mind buying one myself.
I know, I don't think that's good enough.
No, I don't either, but
But power down there is always has been a problem.
Yeah,
It's always been a problem.
but it can be improved, even if it's done still.
now, what do you
feels-
know about volunteers?
What do you mean?
Well, I volunteer